cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show, pre-dawn. The sun has yet to come up. We are poised and ready for launch into the great north, the UP. We're headed on up. Forecast be darned. It's going to be a blast. I am up there as you listen to this, but have no fear. I'm bringing my recording device up into the woods. We're going to do morning check-in podcasts, and we're going to use it as a social experiment to see how old J-Rome changes over 7 days and nights in the woods, getting dirty, getting gross, and, also just as being an old man now, how your body reacts to sleeping on a sleeping pad on the ground. And, back when I was 18 doing this, sometimes I didn't even bring a sleeping pad. That's how mountain man-esque I was, but not anymore, I'll tell you that. So that'll be kind of fun. So look forward to that one. But today we have a little show that I recorded for the Really Riveting Podcast from Lexy. And she and I have known each other for many, many, many years. And we worked together at the camp up here. And one of the things that she wanted to sit down and talk about was this whole idea of juicing. Now, her podcast, she does a great job of focusing on certain aspects of, life and anything. Kind of really does a great job of, I think, pulling a lot of, just thought-provoking stuff out of any sort of conversation. Most of hers have been solo, and she's just in the beginnings of her podcast journey. And she's got, dozen or more shows out there already, so I definitely recommend checking them out. She's got a lovely voice as well. But we wanted to talk about juicing. Now, juicing was this mantra or this catchphrase, this word that we started flinging around down in the BVI. I won't spoil how it all came about, but essentially it was just one of those things where when you're cultivating a team and trying to make a culture at work, sometimes just the smallest little thing can make the biggest difference. And so we're going to talk all about that and how that is still, after over 10 years, being utilized as a motivating force, which is one of the most heartwarming things to hear from anybody. I mean, it really is pretty amazing that people even remember what that is. Not only that, but use it. But that's what we get into. Again, highly recommend checking out Really Riveting. It's a great little show, and it's definitely, hopefully she will be able to just keep going and going and going. So before we start the show, like I always say, if you want to help support this podcast and you want to help support getting Sparrow back on the ocean so that we can crush more offshore recordings and adventures, consider becoming part of the Patreon family. Thank you so very much to all of you who do that or do the one-time donations via PayPal and Venmo. All the links are in the description. You know who you are. You guys are great. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We've got the merch stuff. We've got the GoFundMe. We got the Amazon wish list. I mean, we basically have the onslaught of how you can help support getting Sparrow back out there. Because boy, oh boy, does that equipment add up when it comes down to it. And somehow, and it irks me a little bit that some of this stuff doesn't have a longer life, but I understand why not. Things like flares, EPIRB batteries, all that sort of stuff. I mean, Life Raft's been out of date for I don't know how long. But if you want to help mitigate some of those costs, you can do it there. And obviously, we've got the October 2nd show in Indianapolis at Meridian Hills. Tickets are in the link down below. Check it out. If you're going to be in that area, I highly recommend coming. It's going to be a fantastic, fun night. And if you want to reach out to the show or you're interested in possibly having me as a boost to any event, consider checking out sailingintooblivion.com. You can get to me right there, coaching, consulting, speaking, all that sort of stuff. So without further ado, here is my guest appearance on the Really Riveting Show with Lexy. Thanks for listening. And away we go. We are recording.
Sweet.
Lexy, I don't know whether to say welcome to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, although I do feel like I will be putting this out on my show, I hope.
Yeah, and also welcome to Really Riveting.
Really Riveting.
Really Riveting.
A podcast that not only just started and I think is really, really good, by the way.
Thanks.
But also was thought-provoking and inspired a few different shows on Sailing into Oblivion. So thank you.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. This is so exciting. I can't believe we're recording last day of camp. Couldn't get more juiced than this.
And that's the subject of the show.
And that is going to go ahead and be the subject of the show.
And, you know, I woke up this morning,
Juiced.
out in the woods, and I was like, oh, yeah, juicing podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I got to bring it.
Yeah.
Bring it. So I did the workout. I did all the stuff. I had a nice, solid breakfast, and
Love.
I'm feeling pretty
And
good about
I
it.
just had unicorn day and ran around with a bunch of screaming 2-year-olds, so I'm definitely juiced.
The last day of camp is always one of those things. It's bittersweet.
Yeah.
It's the tear down. How many weeks have you been here now? 8?
No. 11.
11? Oh, okay. So you've been here just about from the very get-go. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I just kept extending and extending. But I got here right before Victor's Week. I was here for Kids Kicking Cancer and then kept it rolling.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
So we just missed each other. So just for our audience members, I worked here from 2000 essentially all the way through the last full summer was 2023.
Right.
But there were a lot of breaks and gaps in there. But this is a wonderful place.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of action, and it's a very 100% sort of job, if you will. Maybe you could say it's even more than a job.
Yeah, you could say
That was the theme for quite a few years.
Yeah. And something that Jerome brought to camp, which we all have kind of taken as our own and use all the time, is the idea of juicing. So I was hoping you could give us a little
background?
backstory, a little like how it came to be, and kind of like your little pitch that you gave us during staff training
A few
'cause-
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's one of those things where I think in any sort of job, especially in sort of the service industry, you're trying to cultivate as much of a positive, smiley, fun culture as you can. And one of the things that there's a lot of little things that I would always try and do in all the years that I was here. And I was just learning it, just by doing and this work, this didn't, all that sort of stuff. But like there would be a lot of nicknames. That was one. So it was always, I don't know, nicknames always seemed like kind of fun. And that just started down here with like call signs because we're all using radios.
Yeah.
So everybody was like spider monkey. This is flying elephant,
Right.
that sort of thing. Kind of fun. But the juicing thing was just a word. All it was a word. And sometimes I think this is kind of the interesting thing, is something so little as a word can then be adapted into a vibe, a mantra, if you will, a motivational thing, when you hear it, it sort of snaps something in your brain and it's like, oh yeah, let's get to it. Let's do this.
Exactly.
And so long story short, that word, specifically juicing or being juicy, originated down in the British Virgin Islands. So I had left Michigania after working here 7 years or whatever, and then went down there and was doing full-time water sports center, sailing instruction, all that sort of stuff. And there was this instructor I had, Chris Clark, and just an amazing kid from Ireland, absolutely hilarious. I mean, sometimes total loose cannon. So there were highs and lows, pros and cons, but he really was spectacular when put into a position of like, oh, this is going to be tough. How am I going to pull this sort of thing off? And I'm trying to remember the exact specifics of how it came out, but essentially, super busy time of the year. There was this whole family that wanted to do a group windsurf lesson with like 4 or 5 of their kids.
just trying to do that with one instructor on a super windy day in the Caribbean is not easy, let alone, with all the busyness and chaos that's going around everywhere else and all the partying that's going on that night and the night before. But essentially, we're trying to do as much as we can, and so I accepted it, and I knew the one person I was going to hand it off to was Chris. And essentially, I remember him glancing over when he heard what he had to basically take on, and I don't know if it was him who looked at me and said, I got to get pretty juicy for this one, don't I? Or I looked at him and I said, hey, you got to juice this one up. But it was just that moment, and it was like a switch. It just came on.
Yeah, that's where the word just like it hit.
Yeah, it just hit, and it hit in such a way that we just didn't let it go. So afterwards, I was like, how was it? And he's like, dude, super juicy. And the people were all excited and everything. And I remember, I think he got like a big tip out of it or something. But the big thing was that, afterwards it was kind of like, oh, man, like you really juiced it up. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And we just started slinging that word around all over the place. And it just became kind of our team, like, cheer, if you will. And again, it just meant like we are going to bring as much energy and enthusiasm to everything we're doing. And it wasn't just for a lesson or just for, an award ceremony or something where you're actually up in front of people and you're trying to put on a show. But it became something where, we got to do this little paint job repair on this boat. Let's make it super juicy. And it's like, okay, well, let's not just do, a decent job. Let's actually go for it and really try and do something better than we would have normally. Right. And it I don't know. I ask you, how can a word be so powerful?
Yeah, I feel like at camp, especially when you have something that everyone's in on,
yes,
like the whole staff just like is in on one thing, then it feels very like powerful because you know that you're kind of like speaking a secret language and like you're like signaling to someone that like, let's turn it up. And I feel like it's so powerful because of you and like the way that you brought it to camp, and now like other people who are like older staff who like have shown us what juicing looks like.
Right.
Now we're like, well, we want to do that because they're having so much fun right now.
Yeah.
And it always comes at the best moment when you're like, it's like halfway through the afternoon, you got like 2 hours left of work and you're like dragging, and someone's like, let's just juice this up right now. Like the other day we were like mid-morning, we've got 12 toddlers. We're like going crazy in the nursery. And we're like, you know what? Let's juice. We put all 12 kids in strollers. We the whole staff, we like left the nursery and we took them to like horseback riding, and we had them bring out a horse for the kids to pet. And then we were like playing music between every area that we went to, and like it was just awesome. And so I feel like because the word has so much history here and everyone does all these fun things along with it, it just like it flips a switch in you.
Well, I mean, it warms my heart that it's even still around and people know what this is all about. Because, I mean, I think that was 2013. So
right.
more than a decade ago is when I first started slinging that word around here.
Yeah.
And it's still going. But I think your idea of it kind of brings people into a collective of this is our thing. And, with any area where you've got a team of people, whether it's a specific area here or it's the whole staff in its entirety, being able to reinforce that team effort and that team feel is absolutely key to success, to not only doing a great job, but also when you're faced with those tough times, because when everything's going smooth and steady, it's so easy.
Yeah,
everything's when the kids are sleeping, nobody's crying, blah blah Everybody's got energy. You know, it wasn't a late night the night before. It's easy.
Right.
And anybody can, perform in those sort of circumstances, but it's the tough times when things are going wrong.
Yeah.
People are unhappy or things are breaking down. And that's where I think, those little vibes and those little sayings and stuff really do come into play.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you talk a little about like how juicing works? Like, I remember
the overall theme.
I remember in our staff training, you talked
goofy.
about like, you like explained kind of like self juicing and like all of the things of like why it's so effective.
Well, so this is the pitch, if you will.
I need the elevator pitch
of the whole
juicing.
juicing thing, and essentially it came down to using the word juicing not only in its actual form of, it was like comparing it to, and at the time that whole idea of like the juicing diet and juicing vegetables and all that was very hot. Like that was the name of the game at that point. I don't think it is so much anymore, so that might not be relatable. But either way, essentially it was one of those things where, okay, so we take this whole idea of, we got all these vegetables, we got all this good stuff, and we're gonna juice it right down to its concentrate, and then we're gonna guzzle that down, and then all of a sudden it's sort of like, man, I get this huge energy boost because I've done all this great inputted all this great vitamins and minerals and all this stuff into my body. Now I've got more energy. So now I'm going to go out and I'm going to either work more, get more money, or I'm going to go pick more of this fruit and vegetables and all this sort of stuff so I can get more juice even harder, get more minerals and all the vitamins and all the things, and it just keeps amping up. And the more you juice, the more energy you get, and the more energy you get, the better you feel, and the more juice you can collect, and it just keeps amplifying and stepping up. And now convert that over into more of a service industry or sort of job, performance oriented sort of situation, if you will. And you're juicing basically your customers. And as funny as that might sound, the idea is that if you come into any situation where, you've got a customer that walks through the door, you can just say, hello, how's it going? And they say, hi, da-da-da. Now, that's not, that's fine, but it's not juicy. If you're going to juice them up and squeeze them like you would in a little blender, you're going right up to them. You're saying, hey, how are we doing today? My name is Jerome, and, what's your name? And what can we do for you today? You juice them up, and then all of a sudden they're kind of excited, and your energy level then feeds on them. And kind of the cool part, especially in the team atmosphere, is that now this person is a real happy customer. They're excited. Their vibes are going to spread out, and it's contagious. And so not only are they having fun, but then they're bringing other people. Oh, you got to come down here. I just learned how to sail. It was so much fun. You got to meet these people. They got a great staff. And so now they're bringing more positive energy. And again, it's stepping up and amplifying, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And it brings those wonderful vibes to the rest of the staff as well, because everybody else sees it and they're like, oh, holy cow, man, I want to get that reaction from people that I talk to here. Okay, I'm going to try that juice stuff. And then suddenly everybody on the staff is juicing, and you can see how it just keeps, it's like an exponential sort of growth of excitement, enthusiasm, service. And I think one of the great things of it is that, when we finish a day of work, a normal, blah, blah day, we do a good job. We feel all right. Okay, end of the day comes, it's great. When you go through a day where it's been difficult and you've really had to bring it 100%, you're on your game, how do you feel?
You're just like beat. You're like, I'm exhausted, but like I did it.
But you did it.
But I did that.
And you have that feeling of, I accomplished some serious stuff. And I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit of an oddball, but that gives me a big energy boost.
Right.
One of the things here, obviously, it's a very typically physical job, and mentally it's tough because it is service industry, which, for anybody that's worked in the service industry, it is not easy to keep that positive, happy attitude all the time, but it's part of the job.
Right.
And then there's a pretty extensive social life outside of your daily routine of work. And I mean, 6, 7, 8, 10 weeks of it wears you down for sure. But one of the things that I always found was the harder I worked, the more energy I had at the end of the day to then go out and socialize and have all this fun. And I just wake up in the morning just fully juiced. Like, oh my God, another day.
Yeah.
Last night was crazy. We got all this stuff going on today because, you're working hard enough that that the people coming down, again, you're going to face stuff that's not going to be great and it's going to be difficult and you've got to figure out how to get through it. But for the most part, if you've been doing a great job, you're going to be dealing with super happy people who are stoked to walk into your area. And that's kind of does that make sense? I kind of went off into the weeds a little.
No, it's great. It's like the more you juice, the more juice you get. It's just like that. It's a circle. It's like you keep going and you'll keep getting the benefits from it.
Definitely. And I mean, it's something that I have kind of been trying to keep that mantra. Well, geez, I guess for the last 20 years or so. And, I guess in some ways it's a bit of an avalanche, or it was in my life, where, it's the snowball effect, but then it does turn into an avalanche that finally will give way.
Yeah.
Now, that's an inevitable part of life. I'm 46 or 47 years old, and it's just you do get to a point where you're like, okay, that was my round. I'm good. Right. I'm done. I can't really do that quite so hard anymore. But having said that, it's not that I couldn't do that anymore because I do it in a different facet now. Right. But it's still there. When I roll up and fly into a place and to hop on a boat and do a coaching trip with a couple or a solo sailor or something like that, I'm still in my head. I'm like, okay, how am I going to really bring it for this one? And in some ways, it's even more valuable now because it's my own business.
Yeah.
And the better I do and the more I bring to each and every individual, the better chance I have of, a reoccurring trip or spreading the word and all that sort of stuff. So, I think it's kind of valuable not only in a team aspect, but also, if it's just one person trying to do their own thing, it equates to everything, I think.
Right. It's like you could sit down and have a coaching session and just talk about the boat and get super technical and just sit there and talk, or you could be like, what's your favorite song? Let's throw on some music, whatever, and get to know people and really bring the energy, because to me it's sometimes you're I'm just really tired today. I just kind of want to get it done. Yeah. And then once you just use that little extra bit of energy to do something a little different or a little out of the norm, it snowballs, like you've been saying, and then you're helping yourself get you're more energized, you're excited, and then it just keeps going from there. So it's just that one little spark. That's all it takes to get it going.
And it really, I mean, I think what we're really talking about goes back to your attitude going into any situation, especially for our conversation here, going into the workplace. And the nice part about your attitude is it's yours and it's flexible and you can change it. I mean, not to just totally poach off the fish video, but choose your attitude.
Yeah. For everyone listening, we get this this awesome video shown to us at the beginning of every summer of camp called the Fish Video, and it's about the fish market in Seattle. Yep. And the workers there, they're throwing fish around and they're yelling and they're doing funny bits, and it's an awesome video, and it really gets us juiced up.
And I think for a number of years they stopped showing that video, and then Thankfully, they brought it back at some point because they, even though it is circa day 95,
Right. Super old.
I mean, you can tell they were listening to Nirvana or something in the
Yeah.
background. But it's one of those where they've taken a very mundane job, tossing and selling fish, and turned it into this full production and total engagement. I mean, that you wouldn't even consider that to be a service industry outside of just the regular old, like, what would you like? Give me 8 pounds of tuna, pay me this much money.
Right. And they're like yelling the orders back to each other. Yeah.
And they're mixing it up and they're bringing people behind the counter and they're throwing them fish and everybody's just having a great experience. And I think, for me, there was that whole, I can't remember who used to always harp on this, but they used to always talk about, try and be the best part of that person's week,
their day.
Make their day. Yeah. And if you have that as sort of your goal and that's like your mindset and you're using tools like, okay, well, anytime I'm a little bit down on the energy, I just got to remind myself, I'm going to juice it up. I'm going to bring the energy. Then all of a sudden, you're aiming at that goal of like, okay, I am going to, for at least like 3 or 4 of these campers, I am going to be the highlight of their time here this summer. And so you've got these little goals that you're going for. And I think that's a big part of it too, because sometimes if you're just trying to do a blanket good job with anything, it's hard to gauge how well you're really doing. When you have those little goals and those things set in stone where you're just like, okay, I want to be on a first name basis with 10 people, 10 guests this whole week. Then all of a sudden you've got to get to that point. And so it kind of, I think that is also a really good motivating force, having those very specific goals that you're trying to reach, and you can change those up. You can manipulate them, move them around, change them, and so it kind of keeps the boredom at bay.
Yeah, and I also think like it could be saying hi to someone in the dining hall by like with their first name, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize they got my name." And
you know how good it feels to like be a guest at a resort and essentially like have the staff come up and be like, "Oh, hey, Jerome, how's it going? What are you doing today?"
Right,
and it's like, "Whoa, dude knows my name."
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and it's like sometimes juicing could be like this whole production where you're doing a whole bit, or it could literally just be remembering someone's name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great point. I mean, it really is. It doesn't have to be some big spectacular fireworks show.
Right.
And to be honest, sometimes if that's like your shtick and that's what you always go with, phew, that gets a little tiresome.
Yeah.
It's got to be changed up. But it can be like these teeny little things that, I mean, to even take it a little further, you get to a point where you're not only on a first name basis with some of the guests, but then all of a sudden, like, the nicknames come out. Oh, jeez, because everybody likes giving each other a little playful grief and all that sort of stuff. We used to, one of the fun things, we always had the Super Dad Award. That was my favorite by far to give at the end of the week. And the Super Dad Award was essentially any father, because it was always the father that did this, that took their, like, toddler. So 3 years old or younger on one of these tiny boats on a windy day and was warned against it, and then proceeded to capsize and have to have their child taken away from them, brought back to the safety of shore as they, solo sail back. And then you get to give them that grief at the end and give them the Super Dad Award. And it's all playful. It's all for fun. But those are ones where I can remember people coming up literally 20 years later and being like, yeah, I remember you gave me the Super Dad Award. Remember that?
Right.
I can't remember it, but they sure can. So those are those experiences that, I mean, God, they last a lifetime.
Exactly. Is there any, like, stories or memories you have of, like, where you're like, this is a juicing moment?
Oh, gosh.
Like any
specific
any
ones?
good ones?
Yeah. I think the very first example I had was first week my very first year here, so aging myself, but in 2000, were you even born in 2000? No. Okay. So you were, all right. 2000, I'm 21 years old. I just started first year here at Michigania working as a sailing instructor. And I had my own Hobie 16 right across the lake. And there was a day where it was just raining and super windy. And it was what we call a red flag day. We couldn't let any of our boats out. But one of the things we used to do is we'd offer ourselves up as captains for, some of these Pearson ensigns and sail people around. Now, this was a day that like sailing a Hobie Cat was very difficult, just high winds, all that sort of stuff. And there was a guy named Chris who was kind of like a rock and roll guy. I remember he had long hair and tattoos and all that sort of stuff, and kind of a younger guy, one of the guests. And essentially, I was itching to just get out there and see if we could even handle the Hobie Cat. And we ended up going out, and we spent like the entire day ripping around, pitch poling, capsizing, just having an absolute phenomenal time. And it was not something I had to do by any means. It was, I would put it in the realm of like above and beyond as far as the call of duty or the call of service,
Right.
where it was sort of like, we're going to use my boat because I know it's fine tuned and it can handle this kind of wind. We went out and we could have gone out for a 10-minute rip. We ended up staying out there for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Just absolutely. And I was completely drained by the time we were done. But again, 20 some odd years later, I bump into him. I think it was a couple years ago when I was working. And he was like, dude, you remember that Hobie? And it's times like those. And there was another one. And it's not all about Hobie sailing, but two of the big examples, Steve Vandervoort, who has been a good friend for 27 years now. I took him out 4th of July way back in the day because it was just a perfect West Arm day. Nothing crazy about it, but there was plenty of wind. And we went out, double trapezed on the Hobie Cat, and I still can picture to this day his face. His eyes are just bugging out.
Yeah.
And he was having the best time. And it was on the lunch break. I just happened to see that the wind was going to be great, and I saw him out of the corner of my eye. I ran up and I grabbed him, and we went out. And again, this is on your off time, so it's trying to bring that extra bit of service to the situation.
Yeah.
And it created a memory that every single time, and I saw him recently, and still he talks about it. He's like, oh, you probably don't remember. Oh, no, I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
And I think to your point about the whole juicing thing, not only is it a great memory for him, but it's a great memory for me.
Right. It's like our boss, Kelly, always says, like, you guys can work this job and just do what you're supposed to do and that it says in the job description, or you can go out of your way to make it the best summer for everyone. And you guys will then be like, remember when you, like, decided to take those kids out and you capsized and they were all in the water, and then you have stuff to remember and you have these funny memories because you didn't just
do
your job,
go through the motions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because when it really comes down to it, we're all trying to have an experience, whether we're on the employee side or the guest side. And yeah, if you just go through a summer and you're just kind of going through the motions and you do what you're supposed to do and you go by the book. And obviously, yeah, there's some things you have to go by the book, or you can make it exceptional. You can sit down and have a think about like how you can not only bring as best of an attitude and as much as you can, but also I think there's a bit on the innovation side of, well, how can we like turn things up? What else can we add to the program that's going to enhance it and bring something new to the table that all of a sudden it's like, oh man, did you see what they're doing this year down there? Holy cow, that was great.
It's like Puff's birthday. Like
Steve Agzinski, yes.
Listening, we tell the kids that there's Puff the Magic Dragon who lives in the lake and gives us wind for our sailboats, and they decided to do Puff's birthday.
Yep. It started out, I believe, with his 300th birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we put streamers and all sorts of stuff on one of the ensigns.
Yeah, and it's totally like staff came up with the idea, staff led it, staff took their off time to like cook up decorations and plan stuff, and then it's like you don't have just your normal day, like you get to do like a fun morning that's like out of the norm.
Yeah. And it does. It brings about sort of this great vibe of like, hey, we're making memories, we're doing stuff here that's and maybe it's going to work, maybe it's not, but that question should never affect whether or not at least try it.
Exactly.
Right? You gotta give it at least that, and then you find every once in a while. Ooh,
Got some waves up.
Might be getting a little background. It was just for our listeners. We're on a little pontoon boat here on Walloon Lake.
Yeah, an epic podcast setup.
Yeah.
On here.
Hopefully these little gusts of wind, I don't think they won't affect that mic.
Okay.
Because it's got the buffer. This one should be all right. But yeah, I don't know. It really is. It's a fascinating thing. And then, to go full circle, I still am astounded at how it can all kind of start with just a word.
Yeah.
Just a word.
Just a word.
Tiniest little thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And I feel like I'm hoping that everyone listening can use and I was going to ask you, like, for me, like I'm going back to school. Like I'm not probably going to be working like a service job, but I feel like even not in the service industry, juicing is something you can do like with your friends. You can like do it with people you live with. Like it's totally something that's applicable outside of service.
That's interesting. I've never really thought of it outside of kind of the workplace, but I suppose you're spot on. I mean, it absolutely relates to all walks of life.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's making me think a little bit.
I'm thinking about like my friends who listen, who like are like, yeah, like cool, like you can really make it an experience awesome for a customer. I also think it's just generally making life interesting. Like we've been saying, this is summer of whimsy. Just like adding whimsy into your life.
Get a
like,
little whimsy over
here. A little
here.
Whimsical, yeah. And yeah, like sometimes when you get into like the routine of school and you're just like go on the same routine all the time, like what if you like surprised your roommates with pancakes in the morning or something like that?
Right.
And it's like, it technically in the way we've been using it, it's like to make an experience for a customer during like a work situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking about that when I was brainstorming for the episode last night. I was like, yeah, I feel like how can we apply this?
Well, I mean, and I think it'd be like easy to make the bridge to something like working out or exercise, because you're constantly, it's all about like, oh, let's get the energy going and let's put in, extra 10% today, and then you do feel it,
Right.
Afterwards, you're like, oh man, I feel great. We got that good run in, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, with friends, relationships, school, any of that sort of stuff, if, again, just like we're saying, if you're just going through the mundane every day and you just kind of go with the flow, what kind of experience are you getting out of it?
Yeah.
And in the end, it's going to get boring.
Yeah.
And you're going to, and that's the thing. I think, there's like a polar opposite or an anti-juicing where it's just the status quo, level, average, and that I think can be just as much of a avalanche or snowball as juicing can bring you up.
Sure.
That stuff, after a while, you just get more bored, more disconnected from it, and less happy, more depressed, all that sort of stuff. And it's from a lack of juice.
Right.
You're dehydrated.
You're dehydrated.
Ooh,
there we go.
We might be coining something new here.
Don't
Don't be dehydrated.
Yeah, you're dehydrating now.
Oh,
this is good.
This is good. Yeah, I mean that's not what you want, but
No.
that's a good term. Don't
Yeah.
get dehydrated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm glad it's the last day of camp, but I'm going to rip that all day today.
Oh, definitely. Well, I'm hoping I don't get dehydrated. We've got a long day ahead.
Yeah.
We work till it's too dark to keep working tonight.
Yeah, we gotta take down a lot of stuff and
Oh, yeah.
pack everything up and get out of here.
And not just throw it all in a
Yeah.
freaking pile, but actually keep it super organized and try and clean it as we're doing it.
Yeah.
That's the extra juice that
Yeah.
we've been trying to do for the last couple of years with the breakdown. And yeah, I mean, real life example. Trying to bring some extra juice today so that not only can we maintain, because for the rest of the staff, I mean, I just got here, but they've been working since 8:30 this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And they got to work until like 9:30 tonight.
Yeah.
And that's a long day.
Yeah, and at our last staff meeting of the summer, our boss Kelly was like, "You're gonna work that night shift. You're gonna clean, and then at the end, we're all gonna meet at the beach, and we're gonna do something juicy." That's what she said in our last staff meeting. And she was like,
Nice.
"My vision is that we all huddle up, we have a moment, and then everyone who feels like it is gonna jump in the water and go bring the raft and swim it up onto the beach, and we're all gonna do it together, and it's gonna be awesome." So yeah, it's definitely gonna be a juicy day.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Yeah, it is a total privilege to be able to come back and at least be part of this place in one form or another. And yeah, I tell you, you just don't ever take any moment for granted. And I think that's a something that you can really only see once you've gotten to the point in life where I am, where you worked at a place like this in your youth and you had all these times, and then you get to look back on it and be like, oh, how special was that? I mean, at the time you may not have realized it,
Right.
but then, looking back, you definitely get to. And that's when I think, to all of the stuff we've been talking about, when you did bring it and when you brought it,
Yeah.
boy, that feels good.
Yeah.
There, you don't have any regrets. You
None.
don't have any of that. You're like, man, we
Yeah.
pushed every last bit.
Yeah.
We juiced every little carrot.
Yeah. Everything's juiced. Yeah. We also say like commit to the bit.
Commit to the bit. Yes,
Right.
exactly.
And it's like someone's gonna like throw something up in the air, and like I can't count how many times like I'm just doing my job, whatever, and someone's like, "Yeah, like the unicorn stopped by here to talk to you, right?" And I'm like, Yeah, actually she just left." Like, and it's like people just like throwing bits up all around, and you commit, and it's the best. It's the best part of the job.
Yeah. You gotta
is
jump in.
The best part of the job is everything that's not in the job description. It's the outside stuff that you bring.
Well,
So,
it does. It's that whole idea of like Michiganian magic.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly is. The magic has nothing to do with the place, no matter how beautiful it is,
Yeah.
and how wonderful this area is in the summer and all that. It's the people and what they bring to the table every single day.
It's the people that make the place.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And it's juicy.
It's very juicy.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for this. This
Yeah.
was great. I can't recommend your podcast enough. I mean, it really is. It's right in the beginning, and I think it's always great to catch someone like you early on and watch how it grows and blossoms into hopefully something really, really great.
Oh, thank you so much, Jerome. I'm so glad we could do this and get to record on Walloon. And
I know you had a heck of a view. I got the Hobie cats in my background. Which
yeah,
is
you
nice.
got a good view. I'm gonna have to take a picture of this.
Yeah,
on Instagram.
right.
This is gonna be good. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you do something juicy today.
Here we go. Juice it up. Thanks for listening.
Oh yeah. Yay.